back to the Unleashing. I'm your host, Jared Beeler. Kind of a cold fall day up here where I'm at in Montana. It kind of looked like it went straight to winter. We didn't even really have too much fall. We had like one day of it, and then it went cold on us. But it's kind of cold in my house right now. I wanted to talk on a few different things today and give some encouragement as what it looks like we're going to be going through this year. And you guys have heard me state it before that I think that we are. During the winter months and stuff like that, and get depressing and stuff. And for those that have been waiting for the return of the Lord and feel that it's closer than ever and know that it is, it can be kind of discouraging. But take this time and self-evaluate and draw closer to the Lord and find things you can improve on, including giving up more sin and a more worldly lifestyle. There's always a way that we can improve on our walk with the Lord and do the right things and stuff. But I wanted to give a little bit of encouragement for those that are going through a hard time and stuff like right now. And I know how that is. It can be very difficult, and health issues and other things like that. And you know that instantly the rapture or to be with the Lord will take away any and all problems. You look for that and you long for it, and especially when it looks like you're up against a wall or a timeline, and it can be very, very stressful. And I've definitely been through my share of hardship when it comes to health issues and things like that. And I told you guys about 3.5 years ago, I had this mold from this wood that I brought in my house, and I've been fighting that for a long, long time. And hopefully I'm over it now. I really do, but for a long, long time it's been a real plague and caused issues and made things harder. And you're trying to deal with the stress of life and other issues and things like that, and dealing with that at the same time, trying to combat it. It can feel overwhelming at times. And I'm telling you, if I didn't have God to pray and ask for help and get me through it, there's no way that I would. And I'm always grateful when I make it through a process of healing on a certain issue. And I'm super grateful because I really feel like I've gotten through it this time, and hopefully it'll be gone forever. But other people are going through health issues, and there's a lot of cancer and stuff out there. And I just want to tell you, don't be discouraged. God knows what you're going through, and a lot of times things are for tests, also for faith, and we're to stay close to Him no matter what the test entails. But it can be very difficult, so don't give up. The way things are looking right now, like I say, I'm looking at spring for the possible rapture during Jewish year, 360 days, and they're like 354, 55. It can depend, and every couple years through a 19-year cycle before it starts over again, and there's 7 in a 19-year cycle, they have a leap month of 30 days. When you break that down, you can roughly translate their time into about a 360-day calendar year, all right, roughly. But if we look at that from May 14th, 1948, and if you guys know when that is, that's when Israel became a nation, looking at the parable crossover for Israel, all right, 70 years being a generation, 80 by strength. We're past 70 years now. The next timeline for this to be 73 years, if it's going to fit in an 80-year period, from a Jewish time standpoint, if it is, that time ends April 26, 2020, this spring. Once we go past that time, the 7-year tribulation would extend past 80 years for a total of it. And when I'm looking at stuff like this, and when he shows up, I know that it's going to work out, but a lot of the times I'm trying to look at it from the future, after we're in heaven or after it's over, how I can look back on this prophetically, and it will all be truth. Everything that was told, the length of the tribulation, the different halves being 1,260 days, certain lengths of time being 1,290 from Daniel, and I try to look at it from that, how each one can play out, and it will still be the truth without any deception whatsoever, even though a lot of times we can't tell what it is until after the fact. And looking at this, I've been thinking about it all week, how this could play out. Because if it were to happen or to start in the springtime, if it's going to go 7 complete years, it would have to end at the same time, and that doesn't line up with the fall feast days when they'll be fulfilled on their time. So what's going to happen? how will it still work? And I've thought about each different one. I think about the different verses where it says it's for a time's time and half a time, giving a rough estimate of 3.5 years, and the times where it's given exact days, 1,260 days. And can this all fall into play in the same way where it's still telling the truth when we look back on it? And me and Dustin were kind of talking about it the other night, my buddy, and if I give an example that. If I was thinking back about a time that I worked somewhere, I might have worked somewhere for 7 years and 4 months or whatever. But if I'm discussing, I'd be like, yeah, I worked there 7 years, and it would be the truth. It wouldn't be down to the exact day, but it wouldn't need to be. I'd be getting my point across. And when we hear or read in the Bible, it's times, time, and half a time, 3.5 years. This very well could fall into a very pattern that's like that. And it's just an idea, and this is just speculation on different things and ideas that I'm just kind of bringing out. That's been kind of rummaging through my head. And there's other times where it's more important for the length of time, how long the two witnesses go, 1,260 days, and how long the Jews that are escape and a remnant flee to Petra, 1,260 days. And those are counted days, and they're very specific for that time. But can there fall on that time plan? I thought about how this could play out, and we're just going to run an example right now. Let's say the rapture happens sometime this spring. Maybe it's not even on April 26th, okay? So it goes past this time by a Jewish calendar, okay? And we go sometime into May, maybe around Pentecost, May 31st or something like that. Maybe May 15th, around the time that the Pope's putting that educational thing together, right? And we get out of here. The rapture happens, okay? Time continues on over the summer, and a covenant is made or confirmed with many times the fall. All right, and then from that point on, it goes 7 years. 7 years fulfilling the feast days that'll happen on their specific time and day. Could that still be looked back prophetically? And I believe that it could be, because it would still fall within a 7 year period. It just might be a longer extension of that. But the actual length for it to take place will be 100% accurate, because it's the covenant with many. But it'll go past 80-year generation. There's also the possibility that the Daniel 70-year timeline, a week that's been held for 2,000 years that we've been waiting, since the 69 were done when Jesus rode in on Passover, it could supersede it. The 80 years leading up to the rapture, or when we get out of here, very well could take place down to the day and the appointed time that it needs to, or around its vicinity. And then when the 70th week starts, it could lay over and completely wipe out what 80 years would be, because it's fulfilling what the 70th week is and its length of time. And it could very well be something like that. There's no way to really tell until after it happens. But I like to look at this stuff and look how it can play out and things like that. And knowing the things that I know and other things that I'm watching that are taking place and what I'm expecting, I keep an eye on it, because I'm like, well, okay, if this is getting closer here, let's see in this timeline is that. Well, spring does line up with 73 years, and if it's going to fulfill within a 73, and it does fall into the 80-year generation idea that would take place in spring. So I look at other things that are taking place, including stuff from my vision and stuff like that, if it will happen. And when it starts to line up with it, it's like, man, there's definitely a strong possibility. But how it will totally go down, it's a mystery that can't be quite seen. We might see some stuff, and we definitely know that it's coming, but to totally know, it'll be an after the fact, and it'll be like, oh, of course, that makes perfect sense. But until that time, it's hidden, just like it was in Daniel's time when he was told to close up the book. So it's pretty crazy stuff. But it's coming soon. It's coming very soon. It's not as soon as we all want it to. We've all hoped it would be sooner, but time is drawing closer and the things are on the line. Another good reason for next year is the elections and stuff like that. If they can crash the economy and stuff like that, they can wipe out this movement forward with the nationalism, the Trump idea, and everything else. And they can implement their plan of the next leader that they want to bring in and stuff. And, this very well somehow could tie back to Obama. I find it very interesting on YouTube. I keep seeing these ads popping up. Who's a stronger leader, Trump or Obama? Why are you even asking about Obama in the first place? But I don't think he's out of the picture at all. I think he's just been on standby the whole time. But time will tell with that as well. But the guy's bad news, and they put so much work into him in every single way, even from his crazy birth I don't think they're going to waste it at all. I think it's going to have its day. It's just it's on standby right now, and the restrainer's holding it back. But very soon, that's all going to come to an end. And I'm also reminded on the 13th, when I was told that of September, almost time by God, and I hadn't heard anything on the timeline on that since August in 2017, and so it's 2 years, and now I hear again, and almost time. Last time I heard was soon, so it's very, very close. And that would also line up with being a possible year time for it to start and everything else. But we'll see. If it is, what are the things that I'm expecting? I'm expecting stuff to be ramping up, and not just talking about it where it's like here or there. I mean, really ramping up, especially the UFO talk. I think stuff's going to start coming out the door on UFOs. It's going to be crazy all the way up to the point when they first show themselves. And I believe that what I saw was when they first showed themselves at the rapture, right before they popped down, and for the deception that's going to take place. But I think that's going to ramp more up and more up until finally it happens. But we'll wait and see. If it's not, I don't know. I'm going to say that it might continue on a little bit further. All right, we're looking at this from a Jewish perspective, from their timeline, 360 days, not 365. So that time ends. Like I say, April 26th in 2020, and not another year ahead if we're going by solar time, because technically 73 years, and them only having 360 days compared to our 365, they're losing 5 days a year, and that adds up to 365. So basically, a complete rotation, a full year ahead. That wouldn't be calculated for, so stuff would be taking place a little bit faster than expected if it's going by that. So very interesting, but like I say, definitely right now that's what I'm looking at. And like I say, I've been watching the clouds and stuff like that this year that line up, and there's only one time. And I find it very interesting. Of all the times when the clouds lined up identical, it just happened to be on Pentecost last year. I don't know if that was a hint given to me or what, but of all the days that I've watched, and the years now since 2014 since I've seen that, that's the only day that it's lined up perfectly. And that's very interesting that happened like that. So I've still been watching to finish out this fall. Like I say, vision didn't happen in the wintertime at all. It was nice out. So I don't think so, but I've been waiting to see if I could give it any credit for being late fall or anything like that, and it just doesn't look like it is, and not the way that it is right now, or in the position that it is. So I don't think it's this year at all. Like I say, would that be awesome still? Yeah, totally. But the way things are lined up right now, it's just not there. And I'm watching every single angle that I have secretly and stuff like that, and keeping a close eye on the whole thing. So, like I say, right now I'm looking for spring, and we'll see what happens. But if it is going to be, I expect a lot of things to be picking up right until then. What would happen over the summertime if the rapture were going to happen in the spring? Leading up to the confirm with me. Well, the Gog and Magog attack could happen. Possible destruction of America after we get out of here. Economy stuff is going to be picking up even more and more. They're going to crash it before the election, so it looks like it's possibly the Trump administration. They can blame it on that and bring in a new world system that they want to do, which is going to open the door for other things to happen, and then ultimately bringing America to its knees, which they want to destroy anyways, and ultimately bringing the 10 kings and the Antichrist rule and stuff like that. And the third temple that is going to be planned and worked on and stuff like that in Israel. The elections in Israel, and then the peace deal, that's out for this year. So another reason why I'm saying, it's not taking place now like it originally was. It got pushed back again. And who knows when their next elections and things are going to be. But I'm guessing it's going to be in springtime. So if that would line up with that again, good too, if they're going to bring something out after it. But we'll wait and see. Time will tell. More things will pop out, and we'll be able to see what happens and go from there. My point, though, is don't give up, and don't be discouraged, because it really is coming. And like I say, wintertime and stuff can be depressing, especially around holidays and things like that. Don't be discouraged, and this is a perfect time for self-evaluation and working and drawing closer to God. And anything can happen at any time, really, especially with breakdown and disaster and things like that. We don't know how this is going to play out completely. So always be ready and have that close relationship and stuff. And anyways, don't be discouraged. But there's a couple things that I want to talk about. Basically, stuff not to be deceived on here. This week's edition of Not to What to Be Deceived on. But oh man, you know, it can be very discouraging talking to people and it not making a difference at all. I've thought now about all the people that I've talked to over the years, one-on-one, in groups and stuff like that, and I don't know how many of them haven't fallen off the path completely since the first time I've talked to. Maybe all of them have. And thinking about that can be very discouraging if you've dealt with the same situation. It can be very discouraging. But at the same time, you're not a failure. You're doing what you're supposed to be. You're planting the seeds, and we don't win people over. We present the truth. We bring it to them, especially if it's in their heart to want to know and things like that. And then it's between them and God, and He brings them over. So you're still fulfilling your part. You're doing your part. So don't be discouraged on that. And I know what that's like, because it can be very discouraging when you think about it from the angle of, what have I really accomplished here? And I'm hoping there's people on this YouTube channel that haven't fallen away or don't turn away, and that they actually do make it when the time comes. And I really do. But for those that I've talked to, including my friends and stuff like that, man, the only one that I really have any hope in out of all of them that I can think of right off the top of my bat is Dustin. But Dustin's been a Christian since he was a kid. We've talked about a few things, and I might have shown him some stuff that he didn't know in certain areas, but he's always loved God. All right, it's always been in his heart, and he would never turn from that. And I have high hope for Dustin. In fact, I totally think that he's going to make it. And just as an example, not to just throw his name out there or anything like that, but I think about the other people, and they've either fallen off the course, it's totally went over their head, they don't care, or they've created a religion that satisfies their lifestyle, and they've totally gone the wrong direction. And it's like, what really has been accomplished here? And it's like, I don't really know. And of course, the big fear is that nothing is accomplished. The only thing that's really accomplished is part of their judgment when they stand before God and they say, I didn't know. And they get a flash of when I was talking to them, and I told them everything, and they went against it. And the only thing I'm really doing is helping with their condemnation, which is something that I'm a little bit afraid of, because it's not what I intended at all. It's to help bring people to the Lord and help save them. But looking back, it can be very frustrating. And if others are going through that, I know what you're going through. It's extremely frustrating. We also see this stuff all the time on YouTube and false teachers and things. And I don't even know what to say about it anymore. Every time I look on YouTube, I see somebody that is teaching people falsely, and they're falling into it. A lot of people from my channel as well and stuff. And, I've tried to give everybody as many warnings as I could to stay away from this stuff, but it seems like no matter what I do or what I say, they're already set on it. And I don't really know how to get through to people, and I don't know if, I could tell them. It's like the people that have asked me before, I'm an atheist or whatever, and I said, well, would you enjoy having a real discussion where you can ask me anything you want, and I'll tell you everything, how it played out from the beginning scientifically, and I'll prove it to you in every single way. Do you think that would help you in your decision? And then I've done that. And there's nothing they can say afterwards. They're just completely jaw-dropped, dumbfounded. There's no argument. And afterwards, when I see them a little bit later, they're making an atheist comment or something like that, and God's not real, and they've completely just decided to ignore all of it, even though they've had the truth given to them. And it's like the same thing when I look on YouTube, and I've warned people to stay away from false teaching. Stay away from false teaching. It can lead to a destruction that you can't comprehend. It can get you left behind. Why are you doing it? Why are you doing it? And I don't know. People still do it all the time. And I can't quite figure it out why they want to do it. And, a lot of times when I look into people, there's a vanity in there. And even if it's teachers and stuff like that, I'll be honest with you. If I don't have something to give you, I'd rather not talk at all than to say something that will lead somebody astray. I don't always hear from God. I sometimes go very long periods of time without it, and it's always incredible when I do, and I'll be happy to share it if I'm allowed, but I'm very cautious about it. I've had plenty of dreams in my life. In fact, my very first memories are dreams. At 6 months old, my memory goes way, way, way back. And the very first ones, I've had dreams of going to heaven. Have I shared that on the channel? No, because it's not from God. It's a dream. I've had a dream where I was talking to God. He was a blonde guy, about 5'5" or something like that, shorter than me. And he's like, I know what you want, and I could fly instantly or whatever. I've never shared that before because it's not prophetic. It's not a vision. I'm very careful with teaching something that could lead people astray. I had a dream earlier this year that I was driving around in heaven with Jesus in a car, and at the same time I'd been playing Final Fantasy 15, and I'd finally got a chance to play it in the video game. You're driving around in a car the whole time, and I can see how that definitely fit into the dream. But in the dream, I was talking to Jesus, and the question got brought up because I was asking some pretty serious stuff, and it got brought up, and I can't remember what it was, but it got to the point where I asked a question, and Jesus said that it's because he was the first creation. I'm like, wait a minute, before everything? And he said, yeah. And that goes against what the Bible says, all right? And I knew that in the dream, and when I woke up, it's like, well, it's not even real. And it's not the Jesus that I know, because Jesus, the Holy Spirit, and God, they're three of the same. They weren't created. They've always been. At the same time, we can't comprehend that right now, but we may understand it later. So it's not something I share. It's totally false or whatever. Not every dream is from God. There is one that I've had. It's a vision. Did I share that right at the beginning? No, I told my family about it in 2014 in spring. Might have been early June or April when I had it happen. And I waited until 2017 before I brought it out to the world on like the fourth video around April when I was talking with Dustin. And I talked about it. I've been talking about it ever since. And I've told you how much of it has come to pass, the things that are still coming to pass, and all the different parts and things of it. And it's a reality that hasn't changed. And if it were, I'd be quick to tell you, hey, something's happened. That town that I'm in is blowing off the map, so it can't be a reality. Why has so much of it happened so far that's absolutely come to pass? I don't know. But at least there's a heads up. I'm being honest with you. I have no desire to deceive anybody or anything like that. So on YouTube, when people are having dreams and visions and stuff like that, and they're sharing it, are they having them from God every single night? I'm going to be honest. No, they're not. All right, just like the prophets of old, they weren't hearing from God every single day. They were. That's why the Mark Taylor, oh, I have an answer for this, I have an answer for that, or people are writing things down. I'm not writing anything down. When God speaks to me or whatever, it's usually pretty quick and it's simple. And then the more I look into it, the more it's proved. It becomes a reality. And then afterwards, if I see that, I will share it. But I want to know so that I'm not leading anybody astray or deceiving them. And so many people they're doing just that. And why are they doing that? It's for vanity reasons, so that they can look like there's some great one or something like that. But people fall for it all the time, and including people on this channel and stuff like that. I'm going to be honest with you right now. The people watching my channel right now, you looking at me and listening to me right now, many of you aren't going to be making it. And that is a very sad thing to know and to state. But it's by your own choice and your own false belief. How many times have I told you to pick up the Bible and read it for yourself? Somebody is reading the Bible, or they read a verse and they say it's scriptural because they're using their point. That's not scriptural. That's how cults are made, all right? And that's how every cult is made. They take a certain part of the Bible and they twist it around so that they say it looks scriptural. If you were to read it for yourself, maybe 10 or 11 verses past it and before, you get the context of what it's talking about. And you see that, no, they're just making something up that has nothing to do with it, all right? So often people are falling for the 144,000 or the 2 witnesses or some nonsense that involves them. What is it? It's vanity, that they're going to have powers, all right? And they're prideful, and they're going to come back and show how great they are to the world or whatever, and everybody's going to be looking at it. And this gets into their heart and what they're really at. And this might be why, and there's so many of them, this might be very well why there is not very many people that have gifts. You rarely see it, all right? And those that are claiming them, they're usually full of nonsense, okay? But when you see the real deal, okay, it's the difference between some saying I can heal somebody and they pray for somebody and maybe one time somebody got healed and then there's a person that walks to touch them and say you're healed in Jesus' name and their bones are healed and everything else. They have the power of healing. It's been given to them. Okay, there's people that talk about speaking in tongues and stuff like that, right? And they're thinking like, oh, I have a gift, and what it really is this vanity. They want to hold on, they have something, and they won't give that up. And somebody with the gift of speaking in tongues will go out on a missionary mission, and somebody speaking a completely different language from South America, they will understand it and be able to speak back, all right? And you can't do that otherwise. I can't do that, okay? These are real stories that happen. I have seen some of these people. I've heard some of these stories. They're very rare. Not everybody just has a gift, okay? And there's other ones and there's other special ones, but it's very different. And I don't think that they're all mentioned, because you look at Steve Coyle and his situation, and he'll openly admit there's no way that I can naturally know these people for the information that he brought forward. But God allowed it to happen, and for those people to come into his life and stuff like that. So whatever that gift would be, for him to share and witness and try to bring the truth to Christians or people that have questions throughout time when he was first spoken to by the Lord, then then that's how it is. But to manipulate it or to say it, oh, you're putting yourself in so much trouble. If somebody listening to this right now is claiming to have gifts or something, you have no idea how much trouble you're putting yourself in. When you claim to have gifts that you don't, or you're telling people to look at you as like you're some great one, do you not realize that they will be shown for you actually are? I've seen so many people during my life when they're about to get into a fight or something like that, somebody's just talking some serious smack like they're so great they're going to beat somebody up, and I'm just like, oh, it's so dangerous, don't say that stuff. And then they get wiped out in a second. Do you have any idea? It's not just the beating they just took, how embarrassing that is to talk about how you were so great and this guy just totally wipes the floor with you. Oh, I learned a long time ago, if you're going to get into a fight, stay humble, be quiet, and whatever happens. If you don't lose, you're humble the whole time, or if you lose, you're humble the whole time and there's nothing else lost, you can always come back later. But if you were talking and you don't win, and if you do win, if you don't say anything, you're going to look even better the whole time. You're silent, deadly, and it's totally done. You look like the winner. But if you're talking smack the whole time, you're going to look like a complete moron, all right? And that's like people claiming to have gifts or do things like that. Can people have prophetic stuff that happens? Yeah, sure. It happens all the time. It's like what I say about prophets. They're Old Testament prophets. Do I look at them nowadays like there's prophets running around? No, I don't. At least not right now. Can people get a word from God, this prophecy? Yeah, sure, definitely. Does that make them a prophet? No, the prophets were around because before the Holy Spirit showed up and we could all have a direct conversation with God, one person was chosen out of Israel, or maybe a couple, and they would be allowed to speak through God, through the gift of the Holy Spirit, before it was actually bestowed on everybody else. All right? And these were the prophets. There really isn't that need now because we can go to God. So what's the point of having it? Because when it speaks of the gifts under apostles being directly taught by God or by Jesus and walking with him, so they're apostles nowadays? No, there isn't. So he says that they are. Walk away from it. But the prophets are right under that. So what is it that people want to claim to be a prophet for? For vanity reasons. So you can be looked at like you're some great one. And it's dangerous because, you should be humble. And I'm going to read a couple verses here on that whole topic. This one's from Jesus. In Luke chapter 14, verse 8, when thou art bidden of any man to a wedding, sit not down in the highest room, lest a more honorable man than thou be bidden of him. And he that bade thee, and him that comes say unto thee, give this man your man place, and now begin with the shame to take the lowest room, all right? Roughly stating, you go into a place and set in the highest esteem thinking you're some great one, and the actual great one shows up, and it's like, this seat's been saved for them. You have no other place but the lowest. And in front of everybody, you're totally embarrassed as you walk down to the lowest point, all right? It's an example of being humble. But when thou art bidden, go sit in the lowest place, being humble, going and picking a spot low, not pretending to be a great one, and sit down in the lowest room, that when he that bade thee cometh, he may say unto thee, friend, go up higher, and shalt have worship in the presence of them that sit and meet with thee. For whosoever exalteth himself shall be abased, and he that humbleth himself shall be exalted. Okay? When you are taking a lower position, a humble attitude, hey, God showed me this, but he hasn't showed me some other stuff, so I'm just sharing what I have right now. Not where you're making things up daily, nightly, so that you don't lose a base or whatever, or a group of people that you've esteemed yourself to be with. You're only setting yourself up for failure, because when the day is showing for what you really were and it was fake, not only can you have led people completely astray, but the price, maybe you're being led astray yourself and possibly left behind. The threads of deceit are very dangerous, and it can cost you later. All right. So be very wary of that. And I see it happening all the time, especially with people claiming about things like that. I was very hesitant on speaking about my gifts, and I still haven't said anything. And for that reason, I'm choosing to stay humble on that. Hope that people would figure it out. And the reason I said anything in the first place is so people would have an understanding, hey, I know what I'm talking about when I'm saying this guy's bad news, or watch out for him, okay? Because yes, I've already looked into this person, all right? And I hope that would help. But I'm not trying to set myself up in a way where it's going to take away, because you're not to come to me. I'm not some psychic friend or anything like that. You're to go to God. If I share something with you, take it and use it. But it's not where I'm to replace your relationship with God, where you're asking me questions instead of going to God first. If that's what you've done, you're setting me up as an idol, and it's very dangerous as well. And I'm going to tell you to walk away, and I won't answer your questions. You're to go to God. You're to have a relationship with him first and foremost. What's been given to me is for whatever reason to help share with people knowledge and things like that, and I won't take advantage of it. My path started very, very young in selflessness, honor, giving my life for others, and things like that, and stories that I have not told because it could prop me up in a way that could rob me, so I won't speak on it. But my past been set in motion for a very, very long time. I've told you before I was born, my mom had a prophecy about me that I would be special and blessed, whatever it entails. God's looked from the future all the way past, so he knew before it even started. And he chose to give me these gifts. And I've chosen to try and be as humble as I can, because I know the weight of them and the constant double crush. The responsibility that comes with it, but also the humbleness you have to hold back, because you can easily get arrogant with it, very, very easily. It's constantly bribing you to speak, to talk, to make yourself to be something great, and it's totally wrong, and you can get in big trouble for it. And I constantly push it back, and I pray that if I do that, I can be showing more, which is only going to allow me to share more with more people and witness and stuff like that the way that I should be, but to always be humble, like I was just talking about here. Right? To bring all this around to a full circle of what exactly I'm talking about, the deception going on right now is to play on people's vanity in so many different ways, okay? So many different ways. And it's happening all the time. And I keep warning people about it, but I see it happening. There's people that are doing what they're supposed to, but like I say, there's a mass number of, including people that listen to me, and you're not most likely going to be going anywhere. And I'm saddened by this, and I'm constantly reminded in the vision, I only saw a few people going up in this area that I was in, and I have a feeling that the numbers are going to be massively small. And it's your choice to do this, because you wanted to listen to false teachers and believe them instead of reading the Bible for yourself. You're to know this yourself. So when somebody says, hey, I'm one of the 2 witnesses, or hey, I'm one of the 44,000, all right? But you don't get deceived and start putting yourself as some great one, or thinking something. You're being bought off, you're being bribed with power, right? All the time. This is where all these false teachings come from, okay? This is where false religions come from. This is where occultism comes from. This is where earth angels come from. If you guys haven't ran into those people yet, people that think that they're an angel, okay? Or one of the 2 witnesses. There's hundreds and thousands of people that have claimed to be the 2 witnesses when there's only 2. There's people that I've chewed out that are claiming to be Jesus, all right? I would not want to be them on Judgment Day. They're already falsely given over to it, okay? And if you're giving over to this stuff, it's very bad news, all right? Let me read a little bit of Revelation here. Revelation 7, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees. And I'm in verse 3. Until we have sealed the servants of our God in their forehead, and I heard the number of them which were sealed, and they're sealed and that were sealed, 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. And then it goes to the tribes, skipping Dan, okay? But Dan comes back around in a 1,000-year reign. So for whatever the reason why it was skipped during this time, maybe for punishment, maybe because of idolatry, different things like that, who knows? Just a little side note, Obama's mother supposedly does have a certain part that's been given to Obama from the tribe of Dan. Could have something to do with that plays out prophetically. Maybe why, if he is the Antichrist, is allowed to come in. All right. And after this, verse 9, and after this, lo, behold, a great multitude which no man can number, and all the nations and kindreds and people and tongues stood before the throne, before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and psalms in their forehead. All right, talking about martyrs and stuff during the tribulation that come out, and John sees massive amounts that get saved during the tribulation. We're going to skip over to Revelation 14, verse 4. Actually, let's go with verse 3. And they sung, as it were, a new song before the throne and before the four beasts and the elders, and no man can learn that song but the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth. These are they which were not defiled with women, for they are virgins. They are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever they go. These were redeemed from among being the firstfruits unto God and unto the Lamb. And under them was found no guile, for they are without fault before the throne of God. All right, Revelation 14. They weren't defiled with women. They weren't with women. They are not women. Okay, boom, right there. If you're going to hear from God, all right, is it going to go against what the Holy Spirit or what the Bible says? The answer is no, it will not. So if you're a woman and you've been told that you're one of the 144,000, does that go against the Bible? The answer is yes, it does. All right. You're being beguiled. You're being led astray. You're being given over to a vanity, a power that you want to have. All right, for whatever purpose it is in your heart and your mind. I've looked into a lot of people's heart and mind where they are, and they want to be a great one. They want to be recognized for something. And most people, a lot of them are young. All right, they've even been walking the path their entire life. I haven't even told you everything or who I am, nor will I. And I am not one of the 144,000, okay? I'm not one of the two witnesses. I'm a man who loves God, who's serving him with incredible gifts that he's given me, all right? To see and do things you guys can't possibly imagine, all right? I've never found anybody that is exactly like me. And I am not one of the 144,000. I'm not from any of the tribes of Israel, okay? I am not a virgin, all right? I'm not any of the qualifications that have to do with that, all right? I'm a man that loves God and is serving him and is not trying to boast himself as a great one, who is on a path to be the best that he can, searching for a goal that I've been laid out my whole life to get as close as I possibly can, because I do not look at heaven as just making it and everything's hunky-dory. I believe there is rewards and things to strive for that go far beyond that. And my desire to destroy evil and to put it away for all time pushes me on this, all right, on this goal and whatever it's going to entail, all right? And there's things that I have not told and discussion, stuff like that. But the point is that I'm a man. I'm not boasting myself up. So when some Christian just comes in and they're maybe 6 months new and they're very primed for deception and they are being told that they're one of the 144,000 of the two witnesses, you have to understand you're being deceived like instantly, okay? And you're falling for dangerous traps. Next thing you know, you're believing you're going into the tribulation. All right, or that once you go to heaven, you're coming back. All right, there is no scriptural evidence that once we go up, that we're coming back to do any work. Angels are sent to do work. All right, 144,000 are called out of the 12 tribes to do work during the tribulation and led over to martyrdom. The two witnesses are called to do this. There's no Christians that are going up to heaven or dying or getting raptured and then getting bestowed to come back. What does that play into? It plays into vanity, okay? And this self-recognition of greatness. Oh, look, I'm a great one. I'm going to do great things. I'm going to have powers and you can't touch me. Have you been walking with God at all your life? All right, if you want to do something great, you want to be a great one, then walk selflessly with him, all right? And then when the day comes for recognition, you've taken a low road and you will be esteemed high. But if you take this high road of esteem, that you're somehow some great one, you're going to be let low, when the time comes, and everybody's going to see exactly who you are. And there are so many teachers out there that are teaching you that you're one of the two witnesses, you're one of the 44,000, you're coming back, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, all right, for whatever thing that it is. And I've seen it all over the place, okay? This isn't just one person or anything like that. It's all over the place. And it's constant, and you're getting led so far astray. And if you would read the Bible, like I keep saying to do, trust in Him, read before, find the context, read after, find the context of what you're reading or the verses that are thrown out, so you can see, whoa, this doesn't have anything to do with that. Could it later be a discussion or a hint to a future? In cases it is, but in this case, no, it had to do with that time that they were going through right then, and that has nothing to do with a future event, nor does it have anything to do with something else. Okay? When you fall for this stuff, you are putting yourself in so much danger to be led astray, okay? Vanity is so dangerous. A high-minded self, all right, it's something that we all have to fight against, okay? And like you say, if you do have gifts, you have to fight it even more to push it back, push it down, because you're constantly bribed to take a higher path of self-esteem and looking at yourself, and you have to push it down constantly push it down. But God knows who He's chosen to do in the first place. He's looked down the timelines. Like I say, if somebody can literally say I have no price, all right, and live a selfless life and constantly knock it off at the pass, if they even see it come in, already know to backhand something away, you could have been chosen for special gifts. Do I see them very often? No, they're super rare. Maybe only a few people that I've ever met in the world or seen that have really special gifts. And the rest of people are your average, because the second you give them, like so many times I've seen everywhere in life, the slightest bit of power, the instant corruption. I've seen people corrupt and screw people over and turn on people for 50-cent raises, for one level of rank, a half a level in rank in the military. It's just constantly everywhere, all right? Constantly people are craving for power for their own abuse, to do the wrong things, and never the selfless sacrifice, the act of honor, to live a selfless life like you're supposed to. The teaching's everywhere, all right? The point of this is that there are so many that are out there, and this is just another one for this week. I mean, how many different things do I have to cover? I'm covering it because I'm seeing the very people I'm talking to right now on this channel going into these places and literally getting led over to strong delusion that could cost you your eternity and soul. Do you really want to play that game? All right? Do you really want to play that game? I rarely see anybody that's speaking the whole truth. And the ones that are, they might not know half of what I know. They don't have to. If they're walking with God, who's the guy that has the YouTube channel, the older gentleman from Maine? Very humble, very kind, loves the Lord. I've never seen that guy mess up on anything. Does he know all the stuff that I know? No, but he doesn't have to. He's not leading anybody astray. He's giving hope for people and talking about Jesus and speaking the truth that is coming. He's not setting himself up as a great one. He's being humble. I guarantee it, when the time comes, that guy's probably going to be lifted to a very high esteem that he didn't even believe in himself might be there in the first place, because he has the right attitude about it. All right? And I can't think of the guy's name right now. It might be Mark Merchant or whatever. I'm not sure. But there's so many others that are putting themselves in a great esteem, and they're going to be let very, very low, if not shown for what they are and made to go through the tribulation. Possibly still making it, but led over into the tribulation as a consequence, because it's very dangerous to be leading people astray. If you take the role of the teacher, you have no idea the responsibility that you have put on your shoulders. You can't ever lie or anything like that, because you will, or lead people astray, because it will cost you more than it will cost the people that you led astray. You have way more responsibility. It's more stricter for you, just like it's spoken of in the word, which I believe is in James. James chapter 3, verse 1, My brethren, be not many masters, knowing that we shall receive greater condemnation. For many things offend all. If any man offend not in word, the same as perfect man, and able also to bridle the whole body. All right? The very first verse there, though, it warns, there's a greater responsibility for teachers, right? There's a greater responsibility for me. If I'm leading people astray, it's going to cost me in a way I can't even comprehend. So if I deceive you, or if I set myself up as a great one, or if I'm saying something that's false to look great for a certain time or whatever, that's going to cost me for my ultimate goal. And my ultimate goal is seared into me into conversations I can't even have, because most people are just trying to make it to heaven. I'm talking about things that are even higher than once you make it there, right? So I rarely get to talk about it with anybody, okay? But I am set on this path to shoot through the stars when it's impossible to land on the moon or told, all right, as an example, okay? Not a reality, as an example, all right? And I'm shooting as far, as high as I can. If I were to take this somehow and put it on myself or screw people over or make up a lie or not tell the truth or do something falsely, I'm robbing my goal and my reward later. I'm hurting myself. I can't do that because I'm heavenly minded. I'm already looking to the goal and finishing the race. And it is a race. It's a competition, okay? Just like Paul speaks of it. He wanted to set a race. It wasn't. People are running at their different speed or everything, but each one of us has a chance to run his full power and give everything he has, all right? Wherever we start from, we're to make of what we've been given and to run with it as hard as we can, okay? If I were to cheat somebody or to lie to them or lead somebody astray or make a false teaching or anything like that, I'm robbing myself, all right? I'm hurting myself. And it could cost in so many different ways. And not only that, the punishment's even more severe because I'm a teacher, all right? Not just somebody that is a regular Christian. So can I do that or will I do that to you? No. I have no intention of screwing myself over. I know how serious it is. I've seen it. I've seen barely anybody going in the rapture in that vision that has come to pass 100% so far, right? I'm not making up other stories. I'm not having dreams every night where I'm going to heaven, okay? I'm just sharing what the truth is. I'm judging it, talking to God, making dang sure what I'm going to speak of is going to be true, backing it up with the word, and then bringing it out to the light. And if there is nothing to give for a time, then I'll stay silent. Better to stay silent, humble, to take a knee for a time period and watch others go off the cliff, completely falling out of the race. Only to, like I say, get the word, step back out on the plate, and you just realize that you've now taken a further position in the role in the race, okay? And I have every intention. I'm shooting for first place. Why shoot for anything less than the very best? So that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm going for. I have no intention to betray anybody. Look up every verse that I say. Read it in context. Find out what I'm talking about. And for crying out loud, if you're doing that with me, who is being honest with you, and that's fine to get into a habit of, do it with the other ones. Because when they start saying it's a verse, it's scriptural, all right, and they're not even backing it up, and you're not backing it up with what it's actually talking about in context, they're leading you astray, and they're already setting themselves up for failure, along with everybody that else is doing it, okay? And I don't care who's doing it anymore. I've discovered this really is a solo mission. There is nobody else that's really doing it except for a very few. And those that are and might be watching this right now, well done, brothers. Okay, remember, the consequence is severe if we're going to lie or say anything that's wrong. So our goal is to say absolute truth in everything. And to be the example, if I were to fail on this, imagine how many people I would be letting down. I can't let anybody down. You have to know. I have to go in the rapture. So that when the day happens, if you're left behind, you literally say everything he said was on his point, and he was taken to heaven exactly like he did and said, and what he taught. It's founded on a foundation. And other people that are saying they're a great one, they may be left behind. And they're going to get stoned. Okay, the world's going to turn on them, and they're going to be seen for what they are. So why would you want to deceive anybody in the first place, right? Don't fall for it. There's very, very few teachers that are teaching the right thing, and you know you don't have to go to one in the first place. If you're just craving to listen to somebody over and over again, you know you're gonna fall into listening to a Tim Henderson or Chelsea Bedell or whatever, and these people don't really know anything at all. They're just talking. A shrimp crossed the road. The rapture's coming. I saw a penguin on one foot. The rapture's coming. I'm not saying nonsense like that. I'm looking at real evidence and things like that that are taking place and bringing it to the point. I'm not giving a false hope. Yes, the rapture is coming, but I'm not just saying it, nor am I teaching that once saved, always saved, or a false teaching like that, okay? I'm saying exactly what I've seen. There were few people going up, all right? Once saved, always saved is a false teaching. We are to repent and live a lifestyle according to God. And when we mess up, will he forgive us? Yes, but the books, the Bible, and the different people that were spoken to, those churches or gatherings of people, they were being spoken to at the time. When I'm talking on a video, this is a blanket. I'm talking to every single person dealing with the problem, so I'm saying, hey, hang in there, be encouraged. You know, God loves you, He forgives you. This isn't for the people that should be repenting to be listening to. And when I say, well, you need to repent, you are false right now, and if you don't, you're going to be left behind. This isn't for people that are saved that maybe have messed up and have already repented to be freaking out, oh, God's not going to love me. No, He does love you, okay? You're responsible for yourself. I don't get to stand in front of the throne and say, this person's good to go. Each one of us, including myself, will stand before the Lord Himself, and He will judge us, all right, accordingly. Nobody else gets to be there for you or for anybody else, or you for anybody else, okay? So are you going to be somebody that, hey, welcome aboard, I knew you very well, you had a personal relationship that walked with me your entire life, or I didn't know you and you listened to somebody else the whole time and you never wanted to listen to anything, which is why you were left behind and led astray in the first place. You did make it now, but you did it to yourself, okay? Have the personal relationship constantly grow, and if time is still up until or coming to the rapture, all right, then take this time to draw closer to God. Make a commitment to reading a chapter or two every single day. Every single day. It'll get you into the habit of walking close with Him, developing the personal relationship, the manual drive where you can assess each situation and walk close with God the way that we're intended to and supposed to, so you don't fall behind and you don't get led astray or led into a false teaching, okay? This is a very passionate subject because I'm constantly seeing people led astray. Even when I tell you not to be led astray, you're being led astray. All right? People will come on. People will listen to my channel. Be like, yeah, amen, brother. Not even realizing they're the ones leading people astray, okay? Be very cautious of everybody, okay? And compare it to Scripture, all right? If that gets to the point where you don't listen to anybody, it's just God, hey, better for you, okay? That's good, all right? But know who you're listening to and have the discernment and pray about it, all right? I really hope this helps a lot of people. I really do. And I really hope the message gets through. I'm pounding it in as much as I possibly can. For those looking for the rapture, it is coming very, very soon. And I'm still looking at springtime for this next possibility. Will things have to pick up? Yeah, they're going to have to pick up drastically. But it's already there. It's getting very close. And it looks like this time's just about up. And so we look, waiting patiently for the day. And don't be discouraged, all right? Those going through health issues, hang in there. I'm praying for you guys. And I know how frustrating it could be, all right? So hang in there. But God bless, and I'll catch you next time in the Leashing. Don't fall for deception, all right? God bless. Bye.